Wow, where does it end with this Andretti guy? After announcing the official partnership with General Motors, he is now going after Formula One and the team bosses. This guy wants to prove that he is the real deal, but it seems like the FIA will have to rethink twice before they give him permission to join the grid as the 11th team. Especially after what he had to say regarding the sport and the owners of the team in his most recent rant. Andretti has been trying to enter the sport for a couple of years now, and as we speak, the FIA is likely to finally give him a permit to do so. As Andretti said, he checks out every box, accomplishes everything there is to accomplish, and is now looking for partners that would be more than happy to join him in his quest. Still, even with General Motors joining the board of Andretti and the FIA saying that they have officially started the talks for the 11th team to join the grid, the F1 bosses aren't happy that Andretti is going to join the sport. One of the reasons is that they believe the dilution fund he must pay, which is estimated to be around $200 million, is insufficient. The fiercest one to speak on this matter is Gunther Steiner, with the Haas principal saying that the costs and popularity of the sport have increased a lot, and those $200 million diluted to 10 teams won't do absolutely anything. The Italian went to the extent of saying that the proper sum would be around $600 million, and it's very unlikely that the FIA and Andretti will agree to this. The other reason why the team bosses are very reluctant to let Andretti race in F1 is the value that he's going to bring to the sport. According to Toto Wolff, he would have been much happier if an engine manufacturer, such as Audi, entered the sport as an 11th team, rather than an individual company. To this, Andretti had a very fierce response, adding that manufacturers come and go, and we're here to stay. Well, he has started a beef with practically anyone on the grid, and there are only a couple of friends that he can find in McLaren and Alpine. Oh, and yes, Horner has supported the entrance of Andretti, mostly because he feels like competition will arise and we're going to see much closer racing. Still, Michael Andretti isn't happy with how the FIA has treated him in the past couple of years, and he's recently spoken about why he feels that the sport is very reluctant when it comes to him entering Formula One as an independent team. According to the son of the former F1 champion, Mario Andretti, the sport is full of greed, and teams are looking for profit and profits only. It's all about money. First, they think they are going to get diluted 1/10 of their prize money. But they also get very greedy, thinking we will take all the American sponsors as well. It's all about greed and looking at themselves, and not looking at what is best for the overall growth of the series. One of the reasons why Andretti would be a good addition to the sport is the fact that US investors would be much more interested. As of now, Andretti is building a facility that is worth $200 million in Fishers, India, which will be the home of all the racing projects that he will participate in. And the partnership with General Motors is just the first step towards success, as we've seen that the American investors are really happy to join the sport now after a very gruesome past that they had with Formula One. Remember that since 2020, the sport's popularity has skyrocketed in the United States, owing primarily to Netflix and Drive to Survive. This almost culminated in Formula One having the first American driver since 2015, Colton Herta. But the young IndyCar 500 driver didn't have the super license, and the FIA didn't want to go out of their traditional ways in order to grant him one. Still, Herta will be one of the first choices of Andretti once he enters the sport, and that's likely to happen from 2026 on. All the teams that are eager to enter the sport as well, such as Calvin Lowe's, should be very thankful to Andretti because he's opened the door for them. The president of the FIA, bin Mohammed Sulayem, has spoken about this matter, adding that there could be 12 teams racing in F1 sooner rather than later, and that the popularity of the sport has increased, which means that the sport needs to adapt to this increased interest. Nonetheless, Andretti took the chance to make further digs towards the F1 team bosses, and while he hoped that the entrance of General Motors would change the wind that is currently blowing in F1, he said that he is not surprised by the way F1 team bosses have welcomed the entrance of the American company. I'm not surprised. In F1, the owners look out for themselves, not what's best for the series. That is the difference between President Mohammed's position and the team owner's position. President Mohammed is looking out for the future of the sport. Mohammed gets it. He's a racer, and he understands the series needs to have one or two more teams. It is an FIA championship, and it holds most of the cards to get the expression of interest going. Still, Andretti hasn't received the green light yet, and with all his statements, one could think twice before they give him the permit to enter the sport. Obviously, he is one of the most controversial individuals out there, and his statements aren't making the current F1 team bosses happy. We know that he and Wolff have had their fair share of struggles to build a healthy relationship between them, and one of the reasons why is because Wolff doesn't think Andretti's place is in F1. This is a narrative that is also shared by the president of Formula One, Stefano Domenicali, who added that Formula One doesn't have issues with having 10 teams and that the sport is all about quality, not quantity. Andretti's response to Wolff was a harsh one, with the American saying that Wolff is too powerful for Formula One, and his role as a team owner and team principal has now crossed some serious red lines. Still, it doesn't matter if Andretti doesn't have anyone on his side, apart from McLaren and Alpine from the existing teams. The most important member in the whole situation, the president of the FIA, supports Andretti and his bids to enter the sport. The most obvious fact is that the United States has become a very appealing market for the sport, with the continent now hosting 3 races beginning in 2023. Given the fact that Austin was the only race that was held here, the Miami and Las Vegas venues are going to be an additional boost to the sport. Now that F1 has a lot of American fans, the most obvious solution for them to maintain popularity and maintain interest would be to implement an all-American team. Haas is an American team as well, but the owner Gene Haas is more focused on NASCAR, and one could make tons of arguments about him defending American interests in the sport. Andretti, on the other hand, is a different story, and while he attempted to complete a buyout of Haas and AlphaTauri in previous years, these attempts were unsuccessful. And now the only solution left is to join the sport as an independent 11th team. Whether Andretti will be a successful team on the grid, only time will tell. As of now, we can say that he's been dealt good cards, and the FIA is prone to letting him race with the other teams. What is also a very supportive narrative for him is the fact that he'll likely strike a deal with Honda, an engine manufacturer that is currently lending its intellectual property to Red Bull. However, beginning in 2026, Red Bull will launch their fully independent powertrain division, leaving Honda without a team to supply its engines. While the Japanese manufacturer wanted to withdraw fully from the sport, it seems like this is very unlikely to happen, and we're going to see more from them. They had a very good success with Red Bull in the past 2 years, and this is likely going to continue until 2026, meaning that Andretti will likely strike a gold pot by signing a deal with Honda once they enter the sport. Of course, this would be just the first step towards their independence, and their goal of making an all-American team, with Cadillac producing F1 engines in the future. With that being said, what do you think about Andretti's jab at the FIA? Do you think that he has the right to be granted entrance into the sport? Let us know in the comments below.